Hello guys and gals, welcome back. Today we're going to another dimension. Well, more specifically time. All of the discussion so far has been around pitch, scale and key, etc. So it's time to talk about groove. This is dance music after all. Obviously, most of you will be used to things labelled in tempo. And just as we learned there is more to a track's pitch than just its key, there is scale. There is also more to a track than just its tempo. There is groove. I have three overarching concepts I'd like to get across to you today. I'm going to call them straight, swung, and triplets. And why is this important, you ask? Well, even if you have a track in the same tempo, and the same key, and the same scale, if they are at two opposite ends of the groove spectrum, as it were, they're still going to sound bad mixed together. So let's look at some examples. First, I'm going to show you the concept of straight versus swung. Here we have a kick and a clap loop, and I'm just going to draw 16 hi-hats over the top. And this is what I would call a straight groove. Now, depending on what DAW program you're using, you probably have several easy ways to swing this part, but I want to show you what's actually happening underneath. And hopefully you can get into the habit of listening for this in samples. In basic terms, swing is just taking every other note or hit and displacing it somewhat to the right, or behind time, delaying it basically. Let me show you how that sounds. This is also called shuffle, and in fact on the first drum machine that could do this, the Lin LM1, it was called shuffle. Now, swing or shuffle is a sliding scale. As you can see, I can move these notes. And right back in 1979, the way it was written on that machine hasn't changed. As you can see here, there is a number next to the swing, and that is a percentage. 50% meaning no swing, because the notes are exactly halfway between, and percentages higher than 50 indicating how far further across they are moved. So the entire reason I'm showing you this is trying to mix a swinging groove sample or track over a straight one means you're going to get these nasty clashes where the groove is displaced. And if that happens, everyone might just stop dancing. And we can't have that now, can we? First, I'll show you that clash with just some samples, loops, and then I'll give you this example with some tracks as well. When making tracks, it's common to have several top loops over your kick and clap kind of foundation. Mixed together, it could be tambourines, hi-hats, all kinds of other noises, percussion, you name it. So it's not uncommon to have several loops going at once. I'm going to take our straight hats here, and then I'm going to mix in a loop that's already swung. And hopefully you should be able to pick up on the clash. Hear that? Not very danceable, is it? And if I remove the straight hats, you'll hear there's no clash with the underlying kick and clap. And this is what a swung groove sounds like. Okay, now let me show you that with two tracks instead of loops. So here's our swung track. This is just about to end, and we're going to mix in a straight one. hear that awkwardness? I assure you both these tracks are correctly in time, same tempo, they're also both in the same key and scale, they just don't match in groove. Hopefully that helps you develop a bit of an ear for listening out for swing versus straight tracks and loops. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is triplets. What is a triplet? A triplet is not a group of 3 notes by itself. It is a group of 3 notes in the space of 4 or 2. So in our hi-hat example here, it would be 12 instead of 16. So instead of each beat having 4 hi-hats, we have 3. Listen to how that sounds. Now, this is a much rarer groove in general, but there are some genres which lean on it quite heavily, like, for example, Trance. There have been some notable tracks throughout history. We've got Alan Walker's Faded, Disclosure, Latch, Michael Jackson, The Way You Make Me Feel, and one of my favourite house tracks, Oxia Domino. But the problem here is 16 does not divide into 12 or vice versa. And if you try to mix in a triplet track with a non-triplet track, all kinds of chaos can ensue. And indeed, the biggest problem with Oxia's Domino is the triplet bass part is in from the beginning. So it's very hard to mix. And I've done my own example here with a track I released called Blood Moon. And I've put the triplet lead in from the beginning and changed the sound to a much harder transient sound just to emphasize the effect. Let me show you what that sounds like being mixed in. Now that's awkward. So that's the dangers of triplets in dance music. Well, specifically triplets mixed with not triplets. Duplets, if you will. So next time you're struggling to mix a track and all the key and scale stuff looks fine, maybe try and listen out for any groove differences. So I hope this helped someone. If it did, leave me a like, please, or maybe even a sub. That would be fantastic. And I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.